Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to another episode of A Feast of Films Theatre with your hosts, Matthew Ayalew and Ethan R. Hill. How's that? That was good?
Yeah. Classic. Classic. What's going on, my fellow movie fans? Welcome to A Feast of Films. This is episode 30, part 2, where we're talking about Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, the best Star Wars film ever freaking made. I'm Matthew Ayalew, and with me as always is...
Ethan R. Hill, and I couldn't agree with you more. It is the best Star Wars film. It is my favorite. It makes me happy. Everything's just so good about it, including Jedi Rocks.
No, Jedi Rocks is so... Ethan,
I didn't
we
mention
agree
this last
so
time.
much on things, but we'll never agree on Jedi Rocks until you change your mind and realize just what a travesty it truly, truly is. Horrible.
I didn't mention this last time, but Prosser was like, it doesn't make any sense that the song's called Jedi Rocks. Why is it called Jedi Rocks? I'm like, that's just the name. Like, that's not, I don't think that's what it's called in universe. And he's like, well, no, it has to be. And I'm like, do you think the Cantina Band songs in the Cantina in episode 4 are called Cantina Band 1 and 2? Cause no, they're not.
Why is it called Jedi Rocks? No one in the galaxy remembers what Jedi even are.
Except for these a couple obscure musicians.
Exactly,
No,
but they're
dude,
like,
that
Jedi
totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. It's like, yeah, we were fans of Jedi before it was cool.
Yeah,
We knew what Jedi were. Wait till you hear about this really old school stuff, man.
Desert planet. Like, come on, guys. Oh my god. And then by episode 9, everyone's like, we know what the Sith are. Everyone knows the Sith. Like, what? But okay.
But we all thought the Jedi were myth.
Yeah, but
about
we all know about the
3
Sith.
years before.
Like, they were just here like less than 2 decades ago. But apparently 4 decades later, we still all know, we know what the Sith are all of a sudden. Like, get out of here.
I mean, it's the same thing where everyone forgot about the Jedi in the last 20 years between episode 3
That's
and
what I'm
episode
saying.
4.
Like, it is an egregious
It's
idea
so
that a
weird.
whole galaxy forgot about the protectors of peace and justice in the old Republic for 1,000 generations. But then, like, 20 years
Again?
after that, everyone all of a sudden knows what Sith. That's the most egregious part, that everyone and their dog knows about the Sith. Like, 20 more years after that, or 30 years after that.
And,
It's like, this is ridiculous.
I can believe that Luke might not know, but Han, who has traveled a bunch in the last 30
Who was
years,
alive
he
when
has
the
no idea.
Jedi were still around? Like,
Yup.
it's not like he was an itty baby. Like, Luke was a baby, but Han would have been older than that. Like, there's no reason he should at least faintly remember the Jedi and the starting
Well,
of
I feel
the
like the
Empire. Oh my god.
I feel like Corellians are pretty close to the center world too. Like they're not on the outskirts, the outer rim.
No, it's just, yeah. But even on Tatooine, they'd heard of Jedi, right? Like, a lot of the planets had heard of Jedi at the very least. But anyway.
What do you think you are? Some kind of Jedi waving
some
your
kind of
hand around like
Jedi,
that?
yeah, so it's just...
Watto played by Marlon Brando.
Oh, man. That makes me laugh. Thanks for bringing that up again. This is one of the most ridiculous logic holes in Star Wars ever.
It's so great.
But like, and then when you think about episode 4, you're like, maybe it was actually a smaller force originally intended to be not as big as they were. You know what I mean? By the time the prequels came around.
Oh, I'm reading they found George Lucas's original script for Star Wars and turned it into a comic.
Oh yeah.
And I'm reading that, and honestly, it is so bad. It is so bad. It's cool because it's like, oh, this is what it would have been. But like anyone who's like George Lucas was a genius and had a plan from the very beginning, I'm like, yeah, he had something at the very beginning, and it was bad.
Like,
it was really, really bad.
Oh man, maybe some aliens came from a galaxy far, far away and just like was like, yo, bro, this is the story, homie.
It's the Back to the Future thing where it's like Marty pretends to be Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan to scare his dad and asking his mom.
Well, there you go, right?
I love that so much.
Oh man,
I am Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan. I can't wait to like talk about Back to the Future in depth with you at some
No,
point.
that'll be fun, man. That's gonna be another great trilogy. Another great trilogy. But
Well, I mean, we got to find something to talk about after we're done with all these episodes.
all the Star Wars stuff, yeah, more Star Wars stuff.
Well, what series do we talk about
There's
next?
so
Oh my
many,
gosh.
man. There's so many. But like,
I mean, be kept busy if we did MCU.
yeah, no, that'd be crazy. We'd be here for like
That'd-
another decade. We'd be like, we get done
Forever.
the first decade of MCU films, then we'd be like,
We have
it'd be
another
like a whole
decade right
decade
after.
ready to go. We'd be like, damn it, it took us a decade to review a decade. Okay, this is gonna be good. But yeah, no, like last week, we had a good conversation talking about some of like a lot of the character stuff, how they use the characters, the environments. And obviously that first part, the Jabba's palace. And today we're gonna be going into like the next 2/3 of the film, like the whole Endor thing, and obviously that
Wait,
final
you don't mean that we have to?
climatic moment at the end of this film. That was again just so
Matt,
wildly, amazingly executed.
Matt, you don't mean that we have to go back to Dagobah?
Oh, we're going back to Dagobah. And honestly, I'm
goodness.
surprised Luke never went back in between. That seemed odd to me.
Well, I mean, like, because how much time is between
I think
the two
it's
movies? Because it's not that
it's like
much.
a year or something though.
I don't think it's a year.
I think it is.
I think it's like 6 months.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Let's Google it.
But
Oh, you talk. I'll Google.
like to me, it's I think it makes sense. I think because he's helping the rebellion. He's trying to find
Han.
and figure out where
Fair
Han
enough,
is
yeah.
and figure out a plan to break into like one of the most feared places in the galaxy.
Good point.
How do you plan? Like, if they just would have gone in to like break out Han with fists swinging, they probably would have died horribly. Like, it probably just wouldn't have worked the same way. And like, I don't know. I think it works. I think it works that he doesn't go back. I mean, actually, does he not go back? Is there a thing that says he never goes back? Or are we just assuming that because of his promise?
Just because of like how Yoda talks to him when he does go back, like it does sound like he hasn't been back since 5.
Says,
Like also
yeah,
who is like,
but then-
you're a Jedi Knight now. Like I don't know,
Well, Luke says he's a Jedi Knight now.
self-proclaimed, I guess.
And because Yoda has that whole like,
Oh yeah, you're right.
so
you're a Jedi.
so I am a
are you?
Jedi Knight.
And then Yoda's like, not so
Jedi,
fast, there,
huh?
buddy.
It actually has my favorite like Yoda moment, and like I've seen memes of this around where it's like comparing it to being a parent, but it's like Luke asks him a hard question. Luke's like, "So is Vader my father?" And like Yoda's just like, "I need to rest. I'm just," and he just straight up dies.
Yeah, that meme is so good.
Yeah.
Kids are asking you a bunch of questions. He's just like, I'm just gonna go turn over and die. I'm out. I've seen that meme before. It's pretty great, and it's pretty spot on too.
How have you like? This is I guess we never really talked about this. How do you feel about Yoda's death in this movie? Like, did it make sense to you, like, always, or was there ever a time where you questioned, like, okay, why did Yoda have to die, or?
No, it made sense. Like he was just old as hell, man. Like he'd already brought up the point. Like even in that film, right? I've been trained Jedi for 900 years. They're like, damn, this dude's old. Yeah, it's cool if you die, man. You've earned it. Like
We're 900 years old. You look as good you will not.
exactly.
I love that.
Oh, it says it's a
I-
1 year gap between 5 and 6,
Oh, you were right. All right, I guess I was wrong.
and not
I'll
3
eat
like some
crow.
people think for some reason. See, yeah, I'd heard it was 3 at some point too, but apparently,
3 would be too long. A year I could see.
oh, it's 3 years between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, I could see that too. That would make a lot of sense.
Right, and then 4, and then a year between 5 and 6,
Empire.
which
Yeah,
makes way
okay.
more sense. Like, why would you take 3 years to go get Han? You know what I mean? Like a year is reasonable. 3 years would be
Yeah.
like, okay, were you guys like just sipping some margaritas? Like, go get that bro. Like he needs your help, man. What are you doing?
Luke was spending the entire time trying to hit on Leia.
Yeah, just trying to like hook up with his sister. Nice job, Luke.
And then he's fine with that. He accepts that. As soon as he finds out, he's like, "Oh, this made sense." And then Leia says the same thing too. Like, he's like, "I always knew," and it's like,
which is like weird. But I guess that's the Force, right? Like,
all
and
right,
the more
Yeah,
they
okay.
connect with the Force and learn how to use it, the more you get those like
I
intuition.
mean, they were
feelings.
connecting with each other.
Well, at one point,
They were connecting with each other more than the
the Force was
Force.
probably like, "Okay, guys, they're just making out. Get off your asses and do something about
We
that,
need to
okay?
tell them.
We need to make them feel stuff to be like, maybe that's my sibling. Just make it happen, because that was weird. That was uncomfortable, guys.
That's it.
That was uncomfortable.
How do we handle
Jimmy,
this? How do we handle
what
this?
the hell's wrong with you, man? You're not doing your job again? Get your ass out here." Like, I could totally see it, a Force group meeting. Like, guys, come on, man. Gather around. That was terrible. So we gotta do something about it. So it ain't happening
Well,
again.
that was embarrassing.
Like, that was horrendous to watch. Anyway,
But overall,
enough of that part.
like the stuff on Dagobah, I never find. It's super weird, because a part of me is like, it's not the most compelling stuff that I've seen, but it's also not the worst stuff. Like it's, I don't know. I like that being kind of a nice wrap up to Obi-Wan and Yoda kind of in one. Like, it's Luke finally knowing that he's striking out on his own and that he is technically, when it comes to being a Jedi, on his own, but he also finds out that there is still hope. It's weird. It's a weird sequence.
it is very much like, I think it just kind of sets up that final confrontation, right? Like, more than anything. Not only the previous films obviously set up that final confrontation with Vader, but it just lays it out for us in that Dagobah scene,
It
where
sets up the
it's like,
stakes.
yeah, this confrontation is happening. Like, if you thought we were going around it, or you thought it wasn't going to happen, or for whatever reason, like, no, this is essential to Luke's journey to becoming that Jedi. He needs to
Well, and
face
it-
Vader. So it
sets
really
up
just
everything
sets up
that he-
everything going on after that. And his whole motivation, like on Endor, when he's so focused on finding Vader, like, that is his mission. Like, the rest of them are like, we're gonna bring down this whole satellite system, but Luke knows he's going for Vader. Like, that's his
Yeah.
mission. He knew that right from the
Well,
beginning.
Again, it sets up his stakes though, because he's like, I'm gonna save my father, I'm gonna save my sister, and I'm gonna save the
Yeah.
galaxy. That's what he has to do. He has to save those three things, and that gets set up on that Dagobah
Yeah.
scene.
It really
And
is
that's where,
important
like-
for the character, like, going forward, to give him the proper motivations and set up his actions to come
From a certain point of
from
view.
a certain point of view, and kind of gives you, revealing some more information as well about the past, right? And just making that picture a little bit more clear, putting those last puzzle pieces in place, considering what the situation was when the Empire fell. One of the things actually I'm kind of interested in is, like, what are they going to do with this Obi-Wan series, like, as far as
I'm confused as well.
connecting some of these dots and making some of these happens. Like, will some of these lines that are, like, talked about, or some of these scenarios that are talked about in in episode 6 specifically, will come into being and will actually happen? It'll be interesting to see how they actually make that kind of work within the dialogue of the structure, I guess, of those films. But
Well, because I know they're apparently saying that Anakin and Obi-Wan will fight.
that's
again,
what they're saying. Yeah.
but how and where? Because he can't be on Tatooine. Because if Vader knew Obi-Wan was on Tatooine,
He
this
would just
whole
go
time,
get
he would
him.
send an
Yeah.
armada.
I don't
Like-
think it'll be on Tatooine. I don't think it'll be Tatooine, but it would make sense, like, because there's the whole thing where he's like, Obi-Wan once thought as you did, right? Like, but that doesn't make sense. Like, Obi-Wan was never like, Anakin, I feel the good in you. He was like, only a Sith deals in absolutes, and I'm gonna whoop your ass, son. Like, that's all that he got, you know? Like in episode 3. So it actually, there seems
that
to be
actually is a
more
good point.
context, and, like, the hiding of Leia, right? Like, they did ship them away, they did kind of hide them, but, like, Vader made it seem like there was more to that whole scenario that we just haven't seen yet. And maybe they're gonna kind of dig in there and bring something up. So I think that Obi-Wan series could be really interesting and impactful, and kind of shed some more light onto that episode 6, conversations as well.
Did we ever find out whether or not Vader knew he had a son? Didn't he? Or was that revealed in episode 5? I feel like we talked about this, but I can't.
No, that was
remember.
revealed in episode 5 when he's
But
talking
he didn't
to
seem
the Emperor.
surprised at all. But he didn't seem surprised, and that's.
Well, like, he knew Padme was pregnant, right? Like, if we're going from the prequels, Um, but like, does he know the kids survived? Like, you would assume no, because that's what he was told. But it's hard to know. These things, like I said, like we've talked about before, like they don't connect always nicely between trilogy to trilogy, as far as that goes. But it'll be interesting to see. I think the Obi-Wan series, like, hey, like if there's any spin-off that should have been done first, it should have been Obi-Wan. I don't know why we spent time with Han Solo. Like, Han Solo's great, but he's great as Harrison Ford. Like, the other guy did okay, but like no one was asking for a young Han Solo movie. Like, if you're doing spin-offs, everyone's like, they need to do Obi-Wan. Because out of the whole prequel trilogy, man, that was like the whole damn thing. I saw a meme the other day too where it was like Ewan McGregor's back or something. He's like holding up the whole prequels or something like that. Like, it was pretty funny.
Oh, okay. So I'm looking up the difference in dialogue right now. In the original cut, it wasn't revealed. Like Darth Vader just knew when he says we have a new enemy, Luke Skywalker. Like Darth Vader's like, "Yep, that's cool," and then they're just like, "Yeah, like it's yeah, if he can turn, yeah, we'll turn him. It's fine."
Yeah.
And then, but in the redo, in the re ones, it's we have a new enemy, the young rebel who destroyed the Death Star. I have no doubt this boy is the offspring of Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, they changed the
And then
dialogue
Darth
when
Vader
they changed the
says,
Emperor scene.
Yeah, and then Darth Vader's like, "How is that possible?" And then the Emperor's like, "Search your feelings. You know it'll be true. He could destroy us." And then it continues the same way.
After that.
So yeah, so it is a surprise in the new continuity.
Yeah.
It was a surprise to him, which again makes sense that he wouldn't know. Like both make sense. Both, like, for some reason I don't know why in my brain it's like, honestly, if they're like, yeah, he knew the whole time, I wouldn't be like, he did how? I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. He's like
He's
an intel
freaking
guy.
Darth
It would
Vader,
make
man.
sense.
He knows stuff.
But also him not knowing, again, it's, I wouldn't be like, how did he not know? It's like, okay, that
He
makes
was
sense.
also
He would
lied
know.
to, and
Like,
they were
it's-
hiding. Like, that was the whole point.
Exactly,
That
like,
was the
there's-
whole point.
So I guess what I'm saying is I'm good either way. I'm good either
I
way.
concur.
The real shocker was to Luke when he finally put all the pieces together. And the I love that moment when he comes out of like Yoda's hut after Yoda dies and sees Ben's ghost, and just like the audacity, just the sheer attitude, like when he says Obi-Wan, just the way
Obi-Wan.
like it's like,
son of
if you were a solid
bitch. Also,
if you were a solid entity, I would punch
like,
you in the face.
also super funny that Yoda's lights go out like after he leaves. I was like, isn't Yoda dead? Who's turning off these damn lights? Like, I guess
use
it was
the
a
Force, it's
candle
fine.
probably, but whatever.
No, it's
I just
motion
thought it was
sensitive.
funny to me. He like leaves and then like all the lights turn off. I was like, well, why didn't, like, okay, but okay.
I was gonna say R2D2, but isn't R2 in the ship?
Yeah, I think R2's with him or something. I don't know. Maybe R2 blew out some candles.
Also,
I'm sure the candles
Luke's
just
apparently-
died, right? Like, whatever. But it was just funny to me.
Luke's apparently a better pilot because he didn't crash his X-wing.
No,
this
he did
time.
better on the second time around. Second time's the charm, I guess.
Well, I guess I know the fog better this time.
Like, yeah. Well, he's like actually learned
mean-
how to use the Force, so we're good.
Well, you could
buddy.
probably hone in on even Yoda's signal and all that kind of stuff because he parked right outside the house.
Yeah, it was really close. He had it figured out the second
man,
time
like that-
around.
That whole confrontation with Obi-Wan is just hilarious because he starts out really angry and then he finds out he has a sister and he's like, "Oh yes, everything's good now." And it's like, is it? I feel like you should still be kind of pissed, Luke. Like, you should still be kind
Everything
of mad
I told you is true from a certain
from a
point of
certain
view.
point of view. Have you seen that Robot Chicken sketch where it's like he breaks out into a song about a certain point of view?
Yeah, that was pretty great.
And
I
you'll
love
see
Robot
everything
Chicken,
is
like-
true from a certain point of view.
Robot Chicken is
If you had
so
to choose-
funny.
The Robot Chicken Star Wars specials to me are a lot stronger than the Family Guy
Oh,
ones
I find-
because I love
yeah,
just the ridiculous.
Yeah, I find the Family
like
Guy
the
ones.
Family Guy
I'm not a
ones.
big fan of the Family Guy ones. Like, there's a couple scenes here or there that I'm like, haha, funny. But like most of them don't really
otherwise
get
they're
me.
just-
I'm like, okay.
It's just a 1-to-1.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas Robot Chicken is just like taking the most ridiculous concepts. And like the thing is, everything that they do, I'm like, I could see that. I could see that existing in the freaking Star Wars universe, and that just makes it funnier. Like I could see this actually happening.
Yeah, like you can picture it. Like it just it comes together nicely. And it's a different type of comedy too, right? Like obviously both are comedy shows, but Robot Chicken
Very
tackles it
different.
in a very different way.
Well, it's sitcom versus sketch
Yeah,
comedy.
exactly. With puppets
But
and dolls.
speaking of which, speaking of puppets, I have one grievance in this entire Dagobah thing, and it's the fact that Yoda looks completely different in episode 6 than he does in episode 4, and thus began the trend of him never
Episode
looking the same
5,
from,
bro.
yeah, episode 5.
Come
Sorry,
on,
it's late.
get it right, man. Get it right.
Nah, man, I don't care. I don't even care what Star Wars anymore. It's for nerds.
Get it right, man.
Like
Get it
you.
right. Okay?
But no, man, it's like, it's... I don't understand why, like, I guess I can kind of understand a little bit, but, like, it's such a drastically different Yoda. Like, he looks like Yoda, but, like, it's so, his head is weirdly more pointed. He's got more hair, I think. He's greener. It's just, it's a really weird design change, but still looks better than episode 1.
Yeah,
And the
episode
CG
1 is
Yoda.
horrendous. Episode 1 is like the most clearly different Yoda ever. Like out of all the Yodas, I can be like, okay, I could see how that changed. I could see how you went from that to that for the most part.
Episode
Like,
8's Yoda is pretty different too, though.
yeah, but he's a Force ghost, so he can look as good or bad as he wants, I guess. I don't really know the rules there, but like Yoda's always had a very different look for each film, right? Like it's just kind of part of the package with being Yoda, even
It's
from
tradition.
like even CGI, even 2 to 3, right? Like there's a pretty not as big of a difference because it's CGI and you can be obviously get more accurate, but big enough.
Yeah, that's. I don't think I have much more to say about Dagobah, because like again, a lot happened, but not a lot happened there.
Yeah, a lot of setting up the conflict and giving some insight into the past. So, but it was nice. Like it's
Could
a
you
good
imagine
moment.
if-
Like it really is.
Could you imagine if that's where the movie started? Was just with Dagobah, just like nothing, just
Just
Hey,
show
yeah, so,
up
like,
on Dagobah.
yeah.
Like oh man, yeah,
first 5 minutes, Yoda dies, and it's just like, all right, so that's the movie, guys. Like,
yeah.
and I think that harkens back to how important that first act is.
Oh, just so important
Right,
for
like-
everything going forward. Yeah. Reestablishing characters was really what they did. But they weren't like introducing to old characters like here's your new characters. Same ones you've always loved, but now they're better. Like
And
and
Then they
Leia's
moved
gonna
on
choke
and-
the shit of a giant slug. Enjoy that.
I mean, like, she did a good job. She did a
was
great job.
efficient.
Apparently, in that suit, because like, so in the Jabba suit, to take it back quickly, but in that Jabba suit, it was like the main guys operating the like arms and the mouth
And
and,
the other
stuff
guys
like
on the
that.
tail.
And then they had a little guy in the tail, and she was hopping over top of it, and one of her high heels actually like went through the foam rubber and like jammed into the top of the head of
Oh
the little person
man,
inside.
no.
And that, like, why was she in high heels? That's another weird choice, but like, it's whatever. It was the 80s. I just don't think about it a lot.
No.
I just kind of let it
Yeah,
go.
we just move on. Like, yeah, she's a slave. This tracks for a giant, ugly, gross, greasy slug. To be honest, like,
And then she kills him. This is a good
which
job.
is also which tracks for making her wear that outfit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool, man. And well, I guess they all get together back on with the Rebel fleet, right?
Yeah, they're just in the Rebel fleet, and they basically chill out, have that little meeting.
Many
you get to meet Mon
Boltons
Mothma.
died to bring us this information.
And everyone's like, "Where's the Bothans in Rogue One?" And it's like, "Shut up! It's a different
It's
movie."
a different Death Star, you dipshits. Also, I can't remember if this is like a book or a comic, but apparently, I can't remember. Like, and I can't remember if this is a thing or just a fan theory. Please forgive me because I just remember reading it and being like, "That was the dumbest thing I've ever read." I'm gonna elect to ignore that. But it was a thing that like Manny Bothans was like actually a person. Like, there's no alien race,
Oh
Bothans. It
no.
wasn't many Bothans. It was like Manny kind of thing. Manny Bothans died like it's a name of a person to bring
I
us this information. I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So I'm gonna elect to just ignore that, and I'm just gonna keep it with many Bothans because like it was like the
a part of
dumbest thing.
me
And apparently, I think it was in like a book or a comic. Like, apparently, it's a thing. They're just like, we just slightly adjusted what she actually said, right, by using like the same words but meaning a different, context to them, and it was like
a part of me loves that
terrible.
and a part of me
It
hates
was
it. Like it's so bad, but
terrible.
it's so bad that it's actually kind of
It was
awesome.
terrible.
Like
Like,
it's what this
Manny Buffins
it's like
just died getting us this information. I was like,
oh yeah, Manny Bothans.
exactly. And you're like, and
It's like
honestly,
an
for a Star Wars name that's not out there, you know what I mean? Like, it tracks with, the Star Wars universe. But it was just
oh
such a
yeah.
ridiculous concept. And I was like, Disney would do that. They would just be like, we're just gonna take this one thing and turn it into a name and go with that. Like, come on, guys. Oh, it was ridiculous.
Manny Bothans. I had a similar situation on like one of my shorts that I did called Clown
Yeah.
Killer, where like a guy introduces himself as, "Oh, I'm Bill, by the way," and I'm like, yes, Mister By the Way, Mister Bill, by the way," and like I can't get that out of my head now. Is that this character's name is Bill, by the way?
Bill by
And
the
it's like
way.
that's like the dumbest thing in the world, but it's just really funny.
It's just
That's
like,
why I
why
think I'm
would you
accepting of Manny
do that?
Bothans.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think we've talked about the sheer scale of the second Death Star. And like I think I mentioned it in episode 4, maybe I didn't. I stand by the theory that the Death Star 1 was a prototype because the scale difference between 1 and 2
Is
are
huge. Yeah.
massive. And like they were clearly building the second one at the same time they were building that first
Well, there's
one.
no way you'd get anything else done. Like, there's no way. There's no way you start
In a
construction after that one died. Because if
and
you're
that's a
talking a
4 year
4-year difference, like, y'all been taking
and like
20 years to build the first one, and you just
we saw
finished.
how far they were at the first
y'all
one.
just finished, and now you expect me to believe you're like 3/4 of the way done a second one 4 years later? Get out of here. They were totally building them still at the same time.
100%. But like that's terrifying, and I love that. I love the scale of the Death Star in this, and I love how they established that. Like the scene with like when the Superstar Destroyer crashes into the side of it, and you don't even see
The
like
curvature of
the
the
horizon,
yeah,
like
the curvature of the
and
Death
like
Star.
that.
Yeah, it's just flat.
And I love that. I love how like they basically gradually just give you more and more scale, and you're like, how big is everything in this universe? What the heck?
Well, the fact that the ships can like fly into it, right, in those same corridors where they
And, like,
just shot the
and do
projectiles down, is significant.
oh yeah, well considering, yeah. Oh, I didn't even put that together. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize that's the same.
I mean,
That's
maybe
the
maybe
same
maybe
path.
technically
Oh my,
it's not, but it's the same plan, right? It's
would
the
make
only thing that
sense, like-
goes to the core. Yeah.
yeah, that's that's brilliant actually, and it's big enough they decided to put a shield generator around it too, so that didn't happen again.
Exactly.
But they didn't expect people to actually
Fly
fly
in and
inside
F
the
it up
Death
there
Star.
like, God damn it.
That's actually, dude, that's smart. I didn't even think about that. That's actually a really good observation.
But like just how like the size of it is just massive. And obviously with the Emperor's throne room on this one, right? Clearly indicates that this was most likely like their capital Death Star, like, his little hangout spot. And maybe there was one on the fourth one, we just never saw it. I know when the Force Unleashed game came out, there was a throne room on the fourth one. But that game's obviously
You would assume
not
there would be.
canon. But if the fourth one's just kind of a prototype or like, a smaller, like the smaller variant, why wouldn't the Emperor
Like,
just
I
have
think
his
they
own
would.
killer
Yeah.
ass huge Death Star? Be like, this is where I'm hanging out, man.
We know Grand Moff Tarkin would just go there alone and be like, "I am the Emperor." Now
Yeah,
sit in
pretty
this
much.
chair,
Yeah, like grandma.
I am the Emperor.
Tarkin. Oh my god.
Just pretending. I want that. I want that scene. In my head canon, and it's the dumbest thing in the world, but always growing up, my head canon was like the circle on the Death Star was the same circle that was the window for the emperor, and like the scale
Oh my
doesn't check
god.
out at all. That doesn't make
No,
any
that would
sense.
make no
But my
sense.
brain, my child brain is like, yeah, that's exactly where the window is. That circle, and it's like this isn't the Millennium Falcon. No, the circular thing does not equal the circular thing, bud.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Use your brain, and for years it just stuck with me until like even now I see that and I'm like, yeah, that's the window, and it's like, no, brain, you know better, but that's the window. No, it isn't.
Honestly,
But it's the
like,
window.
honestly though, like the way the Emperor's throne room is designed on the Death Star seems really not great to me, because it's literally a tower sticking out of the Death Star. Like, I feel like that seems
Is it a tower?
yes, like, and they show it in the actual like exterior shots, and I didn't notice it till I was older, because they show you exterior shots of the Death Star. And I was like, oh shit, that's the Emperor's like throne room tower, because they have the elevator going up and he has a view hole. I just thought it was like somewhere on the side of the interior of the Death Star, but it's actually sticking out of the Death Star in its own little kind of like, it's
Oh, I
almost
see.
like the Jedi Tower in Coruscant kind of idea. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm like, that seems like a really vulnerable place to put the Emperor. Like, not even in the core of the Death Star. Like, they're just like, no, you get this little towery elevator shaft. Have fun with that. Which seems exposed to me. But given the size of the thing, I find it highly unlikely you'd be able to find it. So, if you knew where you were looking.
No, that's actually like that's I didn't know that. I learned something new. That's really cool.
Yeah, it just I find it's
Like,
a design flaw, because I just feel like someone could just come around and shoot the Emperor's window and just everyone dead. Well, that
oh, I
problem
agree.
solved. Like you're not in the actual protection of the Death Star. That was
That's
odd.
hilarious. Is it just on the top?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where on the Death Star it's placed, but it's definitely jetting out
It
from
would
somewhere, possibly the very
so like
top.
specifically, it would have to be out the top because if you think about it, the way that they look at the battle that's going on, if it was on the side, all the ships would be going this way
You're right. Yeah,
because they'd be at an angle, so it has to be at the
yeah.
very top. That's cool. I never even connected that. For my favorite movie, this is apparently I need to go back. Like I just watched this. I need to go back
Just
and
those little
rewatch
things
it and actually
sometimes.
pay
You're
attention.
just like, damn.
I get so distracted by Jedi Rocks. Just it's in my head. The rest of
And
the
that's what
movie
I'm
that I'm
talking
just
about. It's such a
yeah.
terrible song, just ruins the whole movie. Ethan can't pay attention.
No, man,
He's
it's a
just
jam.
like,
it's a
he's
bop
like,
that's just there for the rest of my
Jedi
brain.
Rocks. I didn't even think about
Yeah, I
these
gotta
Death
dance
Star
to it while
things
I'm
because
watching
I
the rest of
was
this movie.
dancing at Jedi Rocks.
Yeah, that's why I think the movie's so good. Like if I skip over the scene, the movie's gonna be terrible. But like what because I watched Jedi Rocks, I'm like, yeah, the rest of the movie's so
That's
great.
like your favorite
Oh,
reason.
my
You're
mood's
like,
just
I don't
so
even care what happens
awesome.
now. That made my day.
Oh yeah, everything's just wonderful.
You're
Oh
sick.
yeah,
You're sick.
sick with Jedi Rocks fever. Oh yeah.
I got a fever,
amazing.
and the only cure is more Jedi Rocks.
It's more size noodle. More Max Rebo.
Oh man,
Oh man, it's just
you're
I
killing
love
me,
these
man.
movies so
You're
much. They're so
killing me.
dumb.
You're killing me.
Look, at the end of the day, we both love Star Wars, but we also admit they're both
There
they're
is
great movies, but they're also so dumb
God.
when you
Sometimes
think
there's some
about them
horrendous
critically.
things in there. You're just like, good lord.
But they're so much fun because they're just so ridiculous. But like
You're not wrong.
by all
You're
accounts
not
and
wrong.
purposes, Star Wars shouldn't work. Star Wars straight up should not work as a property. But
It's got some.
because-
It's
and I
got
have
like
no
just such a
idea.
really weird mix of concepts and ideas that come into it, right? But yet it works.
Well,
Like I said, lightning in a bottle, man. Like this just
Cultural
crazy.
phenomenons, man. It just I think if the first Star Wars got released today, it would not work. We would have got episode 4 and it just would have just we wouldn't have seen anything past episode 4.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to say because
Oh, and I'm saying like, I don't mean like the 1977 version is released. I'm saying like you take
like
that
if
story
someone made it,
and you make it if someone made Star
if
Wars
someone
now
made it
rather
like
than when
the
it came out,
exact same way,
it 100% like it wouldn't work, man.
I don't know.
I don't think it would fly. I think at this point the cultural the cultural zeitgeist is what saves it. And this is coming from someone who loves it. Like, I love it. I just picked up episode 4 on 4K today. Like, I love these movies with a burning passion.
I'd have to think about that.
But
That'd be an interesting
I don't
like
think
expose kind of discovery video to look onto my other channel. Like what really makes like Star Wars so enjoyable? You know, would it work today? Like
And
that's kind of the question, right? Like
I think
what makes it so enjoyable? Is it the things that were from the 70s? Is it just part of the cultural zeitgeist of it all? Or is it like the actual like storytelling and the characters that have become timeless and it would still work today? That's an interesting question.
the problem is if it came out today, it would be derivative of way more things. Because how many things did Star Wars inspire?
Well, that's true. And how many things would influence it in a different way? No.
100%, and that's like.
But if you
that's
made the
weird
exact same film, yeah, that's hard to say. I get what you're saying though. You're not saying like the exact same film.
Well, because
Then it wouldn't be Star Wars if it's not the exact same film. It'd be something else.
Well, no, like because it would still be Star Wars. Because Star Wars wouldn't exist in this world. It would be Star Wars. It would be made by George Lucas, but the cast would be completely different because, well, you wouldn't have Mark Hamill.
Oh God! And
Like, they're
if
all
you
too
let
old,
George
right?
Lucas make
Like-
a movie now, I'd be like, oof.
But the question is, would George Lucas have the same hubris that he does if he never made Star Wars back in the 70s? Would he have the same career path? Would Indiana Jones exist? Would
That's a good, yeah.
like there are so many factors that just like I
Well,
don't
everything
think it
that
would
Star
work.
Wars has inspired, like the whole sci-fi fantasy aspect of everything, right? That comes from
Well,
it. Like there's
bluntly-
things that Star Trek obviously inspires, and there's things that obviously Star Wars inspires, and you can see like the different kind of inspirations going throughout almost any sci-fi thing you can get your hold on, get your hands on.
Oh, and bluntly, I don't think unless Star Wars was based off a book first, I don't think it would get made now. I think if George Lucas walked into a studio now and was like, "Here's my idea for a movie," and then handed them Star Wars, he would be laughed out, and there would be no one to say. No one would save him. Like that's basically what happened. With
Well,
the
it was
original
hard
ones.
enough
Like,
to get the
studios were
original
like,
made, yeah. Back then.
exactly, and the system has changed so much that I don't think it would work now.
It's an interesting thought exercise, at the very least. And there's so many factors at play that it's hard to really know a true answer. Because it's hard to know, like, it's the whole butterfly effect, right? Like, one little change changes, like, everything. And when you're talking about something as massive as Star Wars, like, that's a significant change to society and the way we look at a lot of things. As far as, like, our entertainment and stuff goes as well, and the stories. But it's interesting because yeah, George Lucas looked at a lot of different things. Like he was looking at Hero with 1,000 Faces. Like he was really digging into that whole hero's journey aspect of it. And studying on that. I think it was Bruce Campbell who wrote that one way back in the day. And like obviously Flash Gordon and stuff like that. So it's like interesting that those are his inspirations. And the things he was looking into when he was working on Star Wars. What would he look at today as he created Star Wars? Like, what other properties would actually end up influencing Star Wars instead of Star Wars influencing them? And would they exist in the same way without Star Wars? Yeah. Damn it, man. That's too many. It's an impossible question, man. It's an impossible question.
You're welcome.
Hard to
I'm
know.
glad that
Now I'm going to be thinking about that all night. Like, well, what about this? And then if that happened, and then this thing happened. I should seriously make a video. I might make a video now. It's a good idea.
It's Joseph Campbell, by the way.
Oh, that's who it is. What did I say?
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell's the guy
Bruce
from
Campbell.
like the
Evil Dead movies.
Yeah, totally different guy. Joseph Campbell.
Phenomenal.
That's what I meant.
Phenomenal guy. Phenomenal actor.
Not
Great,
the writer
great
of
man.
that book.
Great man. So, I mean, I'd read it if it was him.
Yeah, no doubt. I was like Joseph
He's just-
Campbell.
he's
That's
an-
who it was.
he's an enjoyment.
Hey, I knew it was Campbell, man. I always have a hard time. Like it's like you read stuff, you put it down, and then like unless I'm constantly going back to things, I always have a hard time remembering authors' names because it's not like they definitely don't get stuck in my head the same way. There's a couple of them,
I
but
mean, that's fair.
there's a couple of them, but like I'm not one of those academic types who just like can remember all that crap. I'm like, I think this is roughly what was said about something that happened at a time when this guy was kind of named this thing, but it was possibly something else.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that sounds right.
that's pretty
Yeah.
much how it is. But anyway, back to
So
Endor.
Matt,
So then they go to
you
Endor.
want to talk about Ewoks?
Yeah, then they go to Endor because they got to take down the shield from the Death Star that's protecting it right now. So they got to infiltrate Endor and take out the shield. Easy peasy, right?
And then they come across two of my favorite designed stormtroopers. Actually, a lot of people's favorites, the scout
Yeah,
troopers.
a lot of people really like the Scout Trooper. Popular look. Popular look.
But dude, straight up, again, any stormtrooper look. I have yet to see a stormtrooper that I'm like, that's a terrible design. Like even like the Death Troopers are probably my least favorite. But honestly, like
Oh, I don't mind the Death Troopers at all.
s-
I think they're pretty cool.
they
I like
still
the
look
black,
awesome.
yeah.
Like they still look great. But like the stormtrooper design is always just on point. From clone troopers on, like just always looks so cool.
Yeah, the
And, like,
Scout ones are really
I love
good.
that there's
I would say like my least
What a
favorite's
game.
probably like the snow ones because they're just like their helmets are like tarped. So it's like it's probably my least, you know.
but the OG, the First Order one is really cool too.
I really
Um,
there's a lot of design, and that's one of the other things that also annoys me about the new trilogy because there's a lot of designs that I really like because it's still classic. Like I don't really like that it was all still classic stuff. Like I would have preferred we moved on, but obviously we didn't want to. Hence why that one lightsaber was in every movie all the time ever and never just pissed off. You know, they were obviously trapped by the past. But like I liked the slight adjustments. You know, whether it was a coloring,
again,
whether
the
it was like a
first-
ship design, whether it was
like the First Order with like
the
the black that runs all the
stormtroopers,
way,
yeah,
like, it's almost
like it looked good. I
like
liked
it's
it,
so good.
and
It's
they
striking,
looked like
right?
they looked more striking, and they looked bulky.
Sleeker.
Like they looked like they could handle some. They handle stuff. You know, they weren't just gonna
They
get
had
wrecked.
they had a sleekness to them. Like honestly, if you told me those stormtroopers came out of the prequels, I'd believe you.
Yeah,
Because again, they weren't as if you look at the stormtroopers in episode 4, 5, and
Rough
6, they
as
are a lot
tumble.
more.
rough and tumble.
They're blocky. They're a bit more blocky. I still love that design, but the First Order ones are just tight.
Yeah, I like those. I like those ones. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, like that. I just love how that entire thing. They just come across two random stormtroopers or scout troopers, and that just derails their entire mission.
I know, right?
But
Like,
also is like
yeah,
it derails the entire mission, but it's the only way that they can actually like win. Because they essentially it's what is it? Han? Yeah, because Han goes and tries to sneak up on one of them.
steps on a twig.
Doesn't work.
Classic.
Yeah,
Classic guy
And then-
just got thawed from carbonite. A little sloppy. It's okay.
and then Leia's like, "Oh no, I gotta go and stop these other two from running off." And Luke's like,
No, wait,
what?"
wait, I'm coming with you. Have fun, guys.
I love that speeder bike chase. I
Oh,
still
it's
think
so
the speeder
cool,
bike chase
man.
really. I think it holds up. They are still my least favorite episodes in any Star Wars or episodes levels in any Star Wars games. Any Star Wars games where it's a speeder bike, I'm like, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. This is too fast.
No,
this is too
I
fast."
like I would love it. It's just it hasn't been done right. Like
Oh,
there hasn't
100%.
been a speeder bike level that I'm like, yes, like just properly designed to capture that feeling. I think the closest one I want to say was like Rogue Squadron 3 for like the
Rebel Strike?
GameCube. It
Yeah, Rebel
was
Strike, yeah.
like a long time ago, and I thought that one was pretty good. But most
Still
of the
stresses me
time,
out.
it was most of the games where they're on there. It's like the handling is like just terrible.
Oh, it's way too
Like
sensitive.
even in Battlefront 2, where they're on there, it's just like the handling on the speeder bikes in that game are just rough as hell. You're like, come on, guys, how are we in 2020 and we still haven't figured out how to like get the handling on these things like right? But I think if there's a way you know designed it properly, you could have some really really cool levels with that. Really cool levels. Yeah, in the film itself, awesome, man, awesome.
And there's no chill in how they kill those stormtroopers. They just They just blow him up. No second
Oh man,
thoughts.
they don't care. No shit's given. I like when Luke cuts off the stabilizer and the guy just like whoa, 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 dies.
Why didn't he let go? Why didn't he just let go?
I know, right? Like,
Would have been better off.
because you're just like, I'm just gonna hang on. Never mind, I'm dead. That was worth it.
Like, dude, you just gotta let go of your hands. Centrifugal force is gonna launch you
so far, man. He probably would have just hit a tree and died anyway. But
better chance of survival than a fiery explosion.
you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there.
And then we get to be introduced to the lovely
Little
Wicket.
Ewoks. I like the Ewoks. They're pretty funny.
I love them. I like the fact that they were not intended. I like that it was Wookiees that just got chopped in half, and like the fact that Ewok is half of a Wookiee is just absolutely delightful. But like, I don't. I never understood the hate. I never understood why everyone hates the Ewoks because they're so. It's so unsuspecting, and I kind of love that because it's kind of like it's a reflection of the rebels. Like no one believed the rebels
could actually
rebels
do it. Yeah.
And then the rebels meet these tiny creatures that they're like, yeah, these guys can't do anything either. And then they end up wrecking
and
house.
they like literally save the
so...
day. Like they're just great little tiny warriors. Like it's so cool. It's so cool. And like the thing I like about the Ewoks is like while they're like cute and stuff, they also like wreck fools. They also try to cook and eat people. It's like they're also pretty scary, savage little creatures. Let's not forget about that. Like, let's not forget these guys were gonna eat Han Solo and Luke, like, and not just like, haha, we're gonna burn you. Like, no, we were just gonna eat them.
They were like,
we're gonna eat you. And there's all
like,
those
but they were keeping
stormtroopers at the
Leia
end.
just-
Like, they're just like, they're just gonna wreck people. Like, they don't care. So, like, wow, they're cute. They're also just savage as hell. So it's a good mixture. It's a good mixture where there's things in the prequels and the sequels that are just meant there to be cute and like, aw, or like whatever, right? Like the Ewoks are not that.
Exactly. They were a necessary choice in order to make the movie feasible. But they work in the narrative overall. And like even their whole like the battle of them against the Imperials and the fact they're using the woods, it's nature against the industrial age. That's 100% what it is, and I love that.
Straight, yeah.
Like they drop the two logs and crush the ATST's head, like they make the other one trip and fall, like just the amount of stuff they use. And even man, one of the most visceral sound effects is just when they're beating the stormtroopers to death and you hear like that the radios clicking and stuff like that and just like the constant like pounding of their like stone tools against the armor. Like it's unsettling, but I love it. Like it's so visceral. It's so good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that one, man. I like it is like the nature versus industrial, like machines versus nature, and like even as technologically advanced as the Empire is, it's like you still lost to a bunch of dudes rocking rocks and logs, man. Rocking rocks, rolling with like little rock axes, man. They wrecked you. They wrecked you. They're savage. Like they just gave zero shits. Like they weren't there for mercy.
They're warriors.
They're like, yeah, we're gonna kill you, and guess what? We're gonna eat you. Like
they wrecked so much that even like, and I know they had more than the. No, they didn't. I think it was just the Ewoks surrounding them. But like at the end of that battle, when like Han pretends to be the ATST
and all those
soldier
guys
and
run
like
out.
lures them out.
Yeah.
There's a good chunk of them with blasters that run out, but then they're surrounded by Ewoks and they just give up. They're just like, okay, yeah, I guess this is it, because they know
we're so gonna
fighting
die.
Also, the good old. Just speaking of that battle, the Tarzan you call.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Chewie.
So, like,
I love
but
that.
there's just such good. Like, it is a little silly, but it's a great moment. And it fits to like the characters and kind of what's going on, right? Like, as they're going through the jungle, swinging on the vine, like you gotta do it.
What I love that Chewie made like a connection. Like I mean, like all made a connection with the Ewoks, but Chewie making a connection with the Ewoks, where it's basically like, oh, these are like little me's.
Yeah, pretty much,
Okay,
right? No, I totally agree with that.
like man, like, do you have a favorite battle out of the three? Like the ground battle, the space battle, and the like. I mean, I feel like the throne room battle is gonna be our favorite.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's just
Both,
say
but
the
like,
throne room is the
okay,
favorite. Let's
between
automatically do that. I would
between the space battle
the
and
space
the
battle for
Endor
me.
fight.
The space battle. For
See,
me.
and
I like the Endor
I
one,
like the
but I
space
like
battle,
the
but
space. I love the space battle.
see, and I think I like the Endor one just a bit better because it's just so cool. But like, yeah, man, I don't know.
Like
It's always gonna have a
they
special
did
place
such
in
a
my heart.
great job making like it wasn't just like, oh, battle in the sky, battle in the ground, lightsaber fight. Like it was each battle, like each part of that big conflict was so unique to itself and was offering,
Well, and they all
bringing different
needed.
things to the viewers, and they all had their obviously different objectives, but yet they continually relied on one another. Minus like Luke, right?
It
It
had.
was kind of like get in, get out before the Death Star blows up, kind of thing, right? Like that was also part of the
It was.
conflict.
It was so much so effective that they brought it back for episode one.
Yeah,
Like they had the exact same formula of lightsaber fight, ground
battle.
battle,
Well, they actually
and
added another layer because they had the
two
Gungans.
ground
Yeah,
battles.
the one in Naboo, space fight, and the lightsaber fight.
Just had to up that ante even more.
Yeah, and I love
Okay,
that.
guys, we
Like
gotta keep raising the
I
stakes.
love that they did that. It was cool because they knew in episode 3 the end goal wasn't going to be a big giant battle, right? Like they knew it was going to be a more personal ending,
Well,
which
even
makes
episode
sense.
two was a mix of like.
And 2 is
It's kind of funny because episode two they scaled back because they did just the ground battle and the lightsaber battle,
yeah, that's true.
and then by the time you get to episode three, they've just made it personal, 100% personal,
Yeah, that's a good observation.
and like
And then the sequels didn't do sweet tweets.
they just did whatever
so
they wanted. I'm fine with
They
it.
just,
It's
I'm like,
fine.
how is there not like? And I get someone's like, to me, if you ask me the episode end of like episode 9, I'd be like, there was no good space battles in those films, and they'd be like,
Well, they did
oh, but it wasn't in space. It was technically on the planet, but also you never really saw. You saw a little bit of things here and there, like nothing actually important happened in those You know what I mean? Like nothing actually important happened.
Honestly,
Like, it was just noise.
honestly,
It
it
was so
feels
much
like
noise. Like
I don't know what it was with the sequels, but they really like those in atmosphere space battles, and like I guess I get it because you get to see like there's trails off the wings, but at the end of the day, like no man, like I miss the whole like black void of space, two teams going
Yeah.
at it kind of thing.
and,
I miss that.
And credit to Rogue One, they had a pretty good space battle. It was better than anything in the sequels. You can agree with me or disagree with me.
Ooh.
I know you don't like the film overall, but you gotta give it credit where credit is due. That space
I
battle
do not,
above the
because
planet
there was no
pretty
was mediocre.
solid. Compared to
was
like
okay.
we just fair enough when Rogue One came out, we didn't have the other ones. But if you look at the rest of the sequel trilogy, Rogue One still beats all of them as far as any sort of space battle.
Yeah, we can discuss that when we get to Rogue One because I still haven't rewatched it. It has been since theaters. I have not rewatched it. No, I never mind. I watched it a bit after it came out in theaters. So it's been about 5 years since I've seen Rogue
Okay,
One.
and
That is how
I've
much I
definitely
dislike
seen
that
it more
movie.
recent than 5 years, and I'm just telling you. I'm just
I
telling
have
you.
rewatched every other Star Wars films a couple times. I've not watched Rogue One.
You know what?
again.
I even watched episode 9 a second time or a third time or whatever time that was.
I watched Rogue
Recently.
One twice.
So
Not recently, but twice. I did watch it twice, just not in
you
5
got to
years.
put your biases aside, man, and just try to enjoy the film for what it is.
I'll see it when we get to it. That's when I'm gonna give it a try. But until then, I'm content being a bitter old man.
that tracks. That tracks.
But speaking of the space battle, though, like overall, man, like this one has like I to me, I feel like this is the best space battle
Oh,
out of
easy.
any of them.
Easy.
Yeah, like
Easy.
as much as like I love the New Hope one. It's a classic. But episode 6 just has
That's like just
the
fighters,
best-
you know what I mean? But like if you're talking,
It has the
like
best
to
energy.
me, space battles is like capital ships. Like it's not just the fighters; it's like everyone's on board. Like this is a big battle. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, and like Lando and Wedge have great chemistry. Like it's like they just Like Lando, Wedge, Nyanub, and Admiral Akbar just all going back and forth, and just like honestly, the rhythm to it, the sheer scale of it, I love it. I love every piece of it. The Endor one just has more charm, but like the space battle is tight. Like I can't even disagree with you on that.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Like the Endor one was definitely like unique, even as far as ground battles go, right? But yeah, I just like for me, obviously the throne room itself, like that's the most important to me because that's your emotional main narrative going throughout, right? Like that's your character arcs coming to a close and the resolution of what's been driving so much of this forward. And taking out Vader and the Empire, like Emperor, like that's a pretty important part to getting rid of the Empire. Um, but yeah, that space battle is just so much fun. Like it's a trap, like something that's still used to this like day all the time,
Oh yeah.
right? All the time. I can't. I was talking to my
Well,
wife
just
about something too, and I was like, "It's a trap." Made me feel like, the hell was it? I can't remember. She asked me something. It wasn't like, "Do I look fat in this dress?" It was something like, "Do you like my sweater?" And it was like, "It's a trap." It was something. You know what I mean? Like those things get used all the
oh
time
no, well, we quote it
because
on a
it's
regular
so
basis.
good, and I'm sure everybody and their dog does. But it's just one of those things that, but when you think about it, that came out in the '80s, and it's still kicking around and used so much. Like, and it's not like it's an amazing line. Like it's just how it was delivered. It was the situation. It's the film itself that it got sucked up in again. Like you say, the cultural zeitgeist of it all, and
Yep.
and it's still a very prominent part, even decades later.
Well, like I love the steps of the space battle too, because we go from like, yeah, we're gonna go and attack the Death Star. Okay, the shields are up. Wait, there's a bunch of like Star Destroyers over there. Why aren't they attacking us? Oh crap, the Death Star's operational. Oh no. Okay, well let's go fight the Star Destroyers because
Yep.
we're gonna do better against that
Yeah.
than the Death Star.
Yeah.
And then and then it's like, okay, the shields are down. Okay, guys, everyone, you need to get out, and we need to go and fight that Death Star like right now, because otherwise we're
And
like
and that's the key, right? Like that's the whole trick of everything. Things are
they kept
actually
raising the
happening.
stakes.
Like there is different stages to that space battle that are taking place. And that's my biggest like gripe when it comes to uh episodes 9 as well, like their big battle. It's like, yes, there's ships flying around blowing up stuff, but there's no stages to it. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Ah, there's a couple, but
well,
like
there's like, okay, so the fighters that are shooting Star Destroyers aren't doing jack. And then it's like, oh, Palpatine force lightnings the sky, which apparently only affects the enemy ships. Tell me how that all works. And it's an EMP lightning too, so it just takes out everything. But then, and then everybody else shows up, and then it's like, oh, we're good to go now. Like, it's just,
Matt, Matt, you need to stop worrying about episode 9 and just start worrying about episode 6 and how great it is.
I know, but I'm just saying, when you
You
compare the
keep
two,
going
it just
back to the
makes it,
terrible films, and
it makes
you
it
just gotta
painful,
focus
man.
on the good.
Makes it painful.
Stay focused. Be in the now.
Man, you are like
Your head is
the
never on what you are doing, where you are, what
You
you
are
are
like
doing.
the worst person to talk about that, man. You're like just you're always sending us to other stuff. But like
This is true.
but listen, yeah, no, I love the episode 6 one is great. It's got the stages, it's got the characters, it's got the stakes. Like all of those things were paid well, and like they were given the attention they deserved. All of them.
Oh,
Like
100%. They given the time.
none was too short, none was skipped on, none was half-assed. Like it was just quality storytelling from every point of view. And like even in the space one, like you could argue there's no significant characters up there. Like it's just Lando and the rest of the rebels, right? Like
You leave Lando alone. He is a
oh
gem.
no, I'm not saying he's not, but I'm just saying as far as like it isn't Luke, it isn't Leia, it isn't Han, it isn't Chewie. You know what I mean? Like it isn't one of the
Yeah.
big three. Like those three aren't separated. Like those two are down there, and Luke's in the throne room. So really, they could have cheaped out on the space battle if they wanted to, but they didn't because it was significant in itself. I guess the Millennium Falcon was in the space battle. It's technically it's probably close enough to any character or vehicle could be in anything anyway.
Don't get a scratch on her.
Like, I'm afraid I'm never gonna see her again. And I was like, no, don't let the Millennium Falcon blow up. No.
Just the satellite dish.
Yeah, then it was like, okay, cool, no problem, no problem. But yeah, no, it was awesome. Um,
I have to feel like that satellite dish is like only for cable
it has to be
because like
it
otherwise
has
like
to be for nothing because
like
it's constantly
if it
getting
was
broken.
if it was for anything if it was for anything like massive, I mean like yeah, they wouldn't be able to like if that's their radar, like they're screwed.
Yeah,
They lose that satellite dish, it's like okay, how are we getting out of here now? How do we detect
like
anything?
nothing happens, right?
It's just intergalactic cable. That's all it is. It's how they watch all their shows.
That's pretty much more or less what's
But like,
going on.
but yeah, man. Like at the end of the day, I think going back to it, the throne room, 100%. Like, I think it's honestly to me, it's the most powerful lightsaber fight.
Oh, easy.
If you
Like
want to
if I
talk,
was
like
gonna
even like
rank
cut
them,
out
easy number one, easy.
like, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Like just the kind of back and forth. But it really hits, and it lasts like what 20 seconds, not
Like
even.
yeah,
Just when Darth Vader's like, "It's your sister, and I'm gonna turn her," and he just like unleashes.
they
And the
fight a
best
little
part
bit
about
before
it,
that, like on the stairs, right? Getting into that basement thing, and Luke
oh,
jumps off. Like it's not the most amazing choreographed fight, but it's the one that has the
but it's
most
the emotional
emotion,
weight.
right? Like it's always, and that's what people don't understand about films. Like some people are like, we just want to see stuff blow up. We don't care about the rest. It's
We
like,
need
but
them
you
to do
need the
like crazy
context,
backflips.
man. Like it's the
Yeah,
context of the fights that make the fight significant. Like yes, it's cool when they do flashy shit, but if there's no emotional context to what you're watching, you only care for it for somewhat of the action. But like, there's nothing actually gripping you to that. And that was like the beautiful part about six, where like the choreography wasn't like, for to be fair, the lightsaber fights in any of those
like
original trilogy, the choreography wasn't anything amazing. But like in six, like the emotional depth to it, the anger, the feelings, like it was so raw.
where
You
he's
had
just swinging.
where he's just swinging, but also the cinematography, right? Like you have this completely black environment and you have this red and green blade constantly clashing, like the only color in that whole thing, because Emperor's wearing black, Vader's wearing black, Luke's wearing black, like everyone's wearing black, and you got this red and green saber coming together in the dark. It's like,
And the soundtrack too, when they're like in
and the
that final.
soundtrack, like just on every
Yeah,
level, whether it's a character level, narrative level, whether it's visuals, whether it's sound, that throne room whole sequence, the Emperor effing with Luke's head, you know what I mean, trying to get him to turn, trying to get him to give into his emotions, trying to accept your friends are gonna die, you know what I mean, like you're mine, there's nothing you can do,
now
like, to
do
push
you
him.
think Vader was saving? Do you think Vader was saving Luke or saving Palpatine by stopping Luke's
No, he was
lightsaber?
definitely saving Palpatine at that point.
100%. I
100%. Like
agree.
it was
But like
totally in protection of Palpatine.
inadvertently, he saved.
Like yeah, inadvertently, because yeah, Luke was pissed at that point. Like he just had enough, right? Like he was ready to go. He's like, "Let's go, let's do it. These are my friends." Like, and I'm not here to save
You
your
know,
ass. Like I'm here to save Vader. Like you can die, I don't care. Right?
do you know people have also tried to say that the reason why Luke got the high ground was because Obi-Wan taught him that that's how he was
Oh
going to
my
beat
god,
Anakin.
that would be the
And then Darth Vader knew to throw his lightsaber because that already happened to him once. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I
doesn't
have
even
ever
make sense.
heard.
Luke just jumped up, or else he was gonna get cut in half.
Yeah, and what else was Vader gonna do?
Like
Like
Vader's
it's not like
not
it's like,
super.
oh, I know this trick. I'm gonna just throw my
It's not like he
lightsaber.
was gonna jump up there. Like he's not super aerobic,
Like
man. Like
it just shows you how crazy some people get with like trying to
things
make
work.
like they have to make this. Well, they have to explain that George Lucas is a genius, which again, he's not. He was a guy who made a movie and made
And
a darn good
we've
one
been
too.
with,
But
and
like,
here's the thing: we've also been with Luke every time he's talked to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan didn't tell him shit. Like
No, in the
The
3 years I
only
taught you take the high
only
ground.
time that like maybe Luke was being trained by Obi-Wan and we weren't there was when there was stuff happening on the Falcon on the way in episode 4 when they left Tatooine. Like if we didn't immediately, clearly they were already doing some training when we showed up in that scene with Han. That would be the only possible time because like every other time they were separated. Every other time, like anytime they talked as Force Ghosts, we were there. Like it's not like Obi-Wan slipped him this information on a note. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, guys.
I can see Lucas retroactively making that the reason. Like, I can see him retroactively trying to make that the reason why that worked. Like, try and make like, oh, that's why I made Obi-Wan have the high ground was to say like, see, that's why the Luke fight. That's why Luke turned off his lightsaber because reasons. But like that doesn't make any sense. Still, because in episode 1, Darth Maul had the high ground, and Obi-Wan cut him in half.
Still chopped him in half.
The high ground doesn't. It's just a thing in that movie in episode 3, and it doesn't need to be brought into episode 6. Like
also,
it's fine.
It makes far more sense when you're talking about guns and stuff and ranged weaponry. Melee combat, honestly, having the high ground seems like a disadvantage. Like, you might lose your feet, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's harder to block low than to block high. That's just me. And Anakin was
Obi-Wan lucked out by Anakin.
A moron because he tried to jump over Obi-Wan. You could have totally jumped right in front of him. It wouldn't have mattered. Like,
that's what ended the flashy choreography was Anakin realizing flipping didn't do any
this flip was a
favors.
waste of time, and honestly, just totally effed me up. Like, exactly, right? Like, I don't know. It was ridiculous, but like that whole scene was great. Like, but like when Vader's like, talking about Leia and like how Obi-Wan hid her from him and
Just picking at
him. Like it was just a whole attempt to like get Luke onto their side. Like Vader even knew, even it would mean his own
Luke to
death.
expose himself.
You know what I mean? Like, because what was Vader's plan? Like, obviously he thought he wanted Luke on his side and they'd kill Palpatine together, kind of thing. But, like, they were just trying to, pick at him, and eventually, like, obviously he lost it a bit, but then he was a little bit reminded, like, yeah, man, your dad's kind of like you, isn't he? You both have those robot hands there, mate.
So actually, that's something that like I love because that is something they changed too. Is they added the servo sound when Luke moves his hand. I want to say that's an addition that wasn't in the original cut. They just added that robot sound when he moves it, or they've turned up the volume and made it more prominent. And I love that. I think that's a good moment. I think that, like, yeah, you get it from him looking at his hand, but you really get it when you hear that noise and you see those wires, and you're like, oh, this is how similar I am to him.
Well, similar, and like how close I almost became him, right? Like, it's just this sudden realization, and it's a very striking, good visual to be able to also show the audience, right? And then he's stupid and throws his lightsaber away. I was like, probably.
I was gonna say, I appreciate the symbolism,
but lightsaber, buddy, because the Emperor's still there.
But in his defense,
I guess he didn't know the Emperor.
In his defense, he
didn't
didn't
shoot
know.
lightning out of his fingers.
We didn't know.
Yes, to be fair, to be fair.
When the Emperor started like shooting lightning at Luke, the first time you saw that, how did you feel?
What the hell? Like,
I know. I was like, they can do that.
That's super cool. Like. And then all I've ever wanted is force lighting, to be honest. I was like, dude, if I could force lighting people, that'd be so sick.
Yeah, but someone was ragging on Mark Hamill for his acting in that scene, and Mark Hamill was just like, okay, let's see you get electrocuted.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Go ahead.
You
act
try.
that convincingly.
There is nothing wrong with his performance.
No, it was great. And, like, the only thing in that scene that got taken away from me was adding that no. That's the only thing I can think of that really... It does pull me out.
And now
the Emperor
you will die.
You will die.
And he does it, and Emperor's like, God damn it, this usually works. And his, like, teeth are so greasy. And Vader throws him off, but, like, the swell of the music...
I love that he just, like he just like holds his hands up like this. He just like this is just
I know, right? Like, but like that, and that, but that's the whole. That's like
that
the
choir and the
majesty of the, and like the just how awesome that scene is. Like it is, it's that whole throne room is all about the motion. Like when you talk about the lightsaber fight, again, we didn't. It wasn't about the choreography. It was about the emotion and the relationship between father and son
100%.
behind that whole thing, and this conflict between light and dark, and Luke still struggling with it that within him, like himself. Like he knows he has to stay in the light to be a Jedi Knight. Like that's his final trial, right? Like to finally pass that and become a Jedi. Just kind of like Yoda instructed him. But also then you get the emotional impact. Like it's not just like, ooh, flashy lightning, like that's cool. But now it's Vader's turn to deal with that emotional conflict, right? Like, am I going to lose my son or serve the Empire? Or am I going to save him? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, that's still his son. And he
especially
wanted to serve with him. Like he didn't just want Luke, and at that specific moment before his redemption, like when he was taunting him and stuff. Like I said before, like it wasn't about just killing Luke. It was about turning him to his side so they could take on Palpatine together. As father and son rule the galaxy, right?
I think it also comes down
But
to
his love for his
he
son.
saw how far he pushed Luke, but he saw how far he pushed Luke, and Luke didn't
Didn't
give
kill
in.
him. Yeah.
Luke has good in him, and I think that also kind of helped push Vader over the edge to redemption as well. He's like, okay, well, if Luke still has good after what I did to him and how much I pushed him, you
Or
know
the
what?
fact
Yeah,
that
no,
he's
this
still
is the path I
breathing,
choose.
right? Like he knew, like there he would have been dead,
Exactly,
and Luke spared him. But now the Emperor was
straight up.
killing him, and it was just, and it kind of goes back, like, and if you want to tie it back to the prequels, it's like it makes sense, right? Like all Anakin wanted was Padme. All Anakin wanted was his family, and I'm sure that same Anakin, even before the prequels, still wanted the same things, but lost it, obviously. So now to see the Emperor killing his only son, like that's gonna do something to you, regardless
Oh,
whether you're
100%.
dark side, light side. Like that Luke meant something to Vader the whole time, or Vader could have just killed him on, like Vader could have just killed him on freaking Cloud City, like and been done with it.
Could have killed him at the first
He
Death
could
Star.
have, you know what I mean? Like he just could have wrecked the kid a long time ago, and he didn't. And then when it came down to it, yeah, he
And like,
chose his son, over the Emperor. And like while it's still a redemption scene, it's like you're not really redeeming yourself. Like you can save your own kid. I only murdered billions of people. It's only a genocidal monster, but like I saved my kid.
well, and that's where I
Like,
think,
that was a big
but
good
that's where I
step.
think it's a good thing that it's a good thing he died then
And
afterwards. In
that
my
and
opinion,
that's
I
it.
think
Like
that
he
was the
had
right
to
move.
die. Like
Like,
there's no way Vader could get back into society. And like
hey, yeah,
he would
remember how I
probably
like blew
honestly
up your
be,
planet,
the
Leia?
New
Hey,
Republic would probably just execute him. Like he would die either way. So it was better for him to die
what
that
do you?
way.
So how do you feel about the addition of a bunch of cities celebrating the downfall of the Empire?
Before we go on to like that very ending, I want to like reverse a
Okay,
little bit because we kind of like skipped over a little bit. What are your thoughts on like how Luke reveals to like Leia? Like, what do you think about like that whole like scene and scenario just before like the big battle?
I like the scene. I still am confused why Leia's like, I always knew, and that line doesn't sit well with
Hmm.
me. But the rest of it makes perfect sense. Her reaction when she finds out and realizes, where she's like, "No, Luke, like you gotta run away," and he's like, "I can't do it." And even Han's reaction where he's like, "So you can
You
tell
can't
Luke,
tell
but you
me.
can't talk
Yeah,
to like what the
I
hell?"
thought that was
Like,
some really great moments.
overall, I really like that scene. It's another one as a kid because it was just boring talking. I'd skip over all the
You're
time.
just
But
like,
like as you
where's the
get
Ewoks?
older, you appreciate it more. Like, and it is a good dramatic moment. And honestly, the music in there, the Luke and Leia theme, is one of my favorite
Yeah,
themes to listen to on the soundtracks. Like it's so good. And it's that emotional setup to that emotional payoff. Especially like that scene makes you understand Luke's reaction
yeah. When Vader starts
because
threatening Leia, yeah.
he just found his sister, and then this guy's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna go after her
Yeah.
next. And he's like, no, I just got her back. So like, you die or I die. This is it. And like, no, I think it's a good scene. I think the family building is really good. I just, again, that the scene in episode 5 is what really draws back everything. That's basically it.
Which
I mean, I
scene?
guess she kisses him
Oh,
for
the
good luck
kissing
a few
thing.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
The amount of times that, and like, and again, there's a 4-year gap between the end of or between episode 4 and episode 6. So it's kind of like, how many more times did that happen?
Yeah, who knows? I
it's
always
one of
knew.
those things
That's
like-
why I totally macked on you. Like, right, that tracks. That tracks.
That's the only line that doesn't make sense. The rest of the scene is golden. Like any of the character driven stuff in this movie is phenomenal. I love it. And it's a good payoff. It's a good conclusion to a three chapter arc.
Well, yeah, it's really about this guy, like Luke, not only just going on this adventure from being a farm person, you know, having his like aunt and uncle, kind of his adopted parents almost, going on this adventure, not only growing to becoming a Jedi, but also finding his family, right? Like also finding that, like, not just in the Rebel Alliance or in Han Solo, but literally his sister, literally his father.
Yeah.
And that's always been a theme. Family's always obviously been a theme in Star Wars, but this
straight
it's
up.
in this film that it really took root, right? But yeah, no, I thought it just added another great dynamic, and the conversation they have, it is natural, and I think it works really well. And like Han Solo's reaction is really good too, right? Because he's still not sure what the hell is going on. Like he's still like just. You can tell you make such a good observation. He's kind of off his game, it seems a little bit. And like maybe that's part of his evolution. Like he no longer has that like wall up. You know what I mean? Like he's totally just
but you can tell
exposed.
Luke.
Exactly. Like he's not like the just cocky Han Solo like that you met in the cantina. You know what I mean? Like he has no more wall. Like he put down his guard and he cares about Leia. Like and she cares about him. And it's more of like a relationship banter instead of just kind of like the whole flirty stuff they've been doing kind of up to that point in the previous films. But yeah, no, I thought the reaction was great. Yeah. And again, like you said, just sets up perfectly Luke's reaction when it comes into the throne room. Everything always sets up everything, right? Like everything always has to pay off and add into something or else you're just wasting time. Just like that stupid Jedi Rocks. That had nothing, no significance to anything else other than that.
Nope, that definitely added the story.
Just the worst. There was a reason it was cut. The ending sequence, though.
Yes.
I feel like I loved the original song that was there. It was like my favorite song. In the episode, other than like the Emperor Throne Room theme, that final song Yub Nub was my favorite freaking song in episode 6. And when they changed it and I saw it for the first time, I was literally like, what the F is this shit? Like I was so pissed off because I loved Yub Nub and it was like more celebratory, you know? Da da Yub Nub. You know, like it was so like it just had its perfect energy to it, and you could see like it made sense for the Ewoks to be doing it, and all the actions and the dancing made sense. Like to do this thing, I'm like, boo! Not even. It's not a better piece of music by far. Like it's just. Not.
I don't think it's a bad piece of music. I agree, it's not the best.
But it's not freaking Yub Nub, man. It's not Yub Nub, man.
Well, like, but specifically, how do you feel about the what's it called?
The added planets in the end?
Yeah, the added planets. Like that always bugs me because like it doesn't make sense to me. Like that doesn't add up.
No, because let's be honest, you're not going to get
everyone knows.
Yeah, instantly everyone's like, "Yeah, the Empire's gone. All right, we all found out the same
Even though
time."
the Empire would be a massive, like presence on Coruscant specifically.
Well, and like that's the funniest part too, because in the actual canon now, right? Like, that they connected kind of this film to. Like, the Empire still exists for like another 5 years after that. Like, the New Republic's trying to build itself, but the Empire is still a substantial threat. Like, you killed the Emperor, but the whole Empire is still freaking there. Like, they still have military
Yeah.
control over everything. It's not like all the ships just burned and died. Like, that was also. I'm not going back to 9. I'm not going back to 9. Focus, Matt. Focus. But yeah, that was one of the things that was like dumb. But they added it into just to, like, connect it to the other trilogy again. It was just one of those things, right? They're like, look, locations from the prequels. They're like, oh, remember that parade from episode 1? Here it is again. Like, why is the exact same parade there, guys? Like, this is way later.
No,
Get
exactly.
a new parade. Come on. Get a new parade. Get original. Where's
that's
the
the thing, like,
floats?
Like, everything else was good, and then Vader's theme, like, funeral pyre.
Yeah, that's always a good moment. Yep.
I like that. And then Hayden Christensen. Like, I understand. I don't get it though.
Like,
I
he
don't
wouldn't even
understand
look
why they
like
had
that
bad
anymore.
hair. And like, I understand. I understand. I know why they.
So
did
everyone knew who you were looking
Well,
at.
like, but I don't get it, because I feel like the audience is gonna be smart enough to be like, oh yeah, that third guy is obviously Anakin. But again, even including Anakin there, it's a nice moment, but it completely defeats the whole idea and the whole, like, theory that episode 1, 2, and 3 set up with Force Ghosts. We're like,
Well, like, how did, like, yeah, and the way they said it, the way
'cause, like,
they designed and set up Force Ghosts, it's like, doesn't even make sense that Anakin would be one. Or
how did Anakin
Kylo
learn? How did
Ren,
Luke
or,
learn? How did
like
Leia learn? How did
Yoda taught Obi-Wan, and it's like,
no, Qui-Gon taught
oh yeah,
Obi-Wan,
you're
who
right.
also
you're
taught
right,
Yoda.
You're right. But like, Luke could have learned over 30 years of whatever. Like, I mean, like, there's plenty of time for Luke to learn and stuff. But like, the Anakin thing made
Did Luke
like
tell Leia? Did
no sense. But like, back then, it's like, that's just what happened to Jedi. Like, that seemed to be the canon, because we'd only had 2
And
Jedi,
that was cool.
and they died.
that was? But then you suddenly introduce an army of Jedi, and you're like, why aren't there a bunch of Force Ghosts around?
Well, and that was
Like,
the
why
thing,
couldn't-
right? And that
Tell me Qui-Gon couldn't just showed up.
That also
like,
makes me suspect that, like, when George Lucas was doing the original trilogy, his idea of the Jedi was a much smaller group. You know what I mean? Like, not a galactic spanning thousands upon thousands of Jedi.
well, because even
maybe
when you
like a
hear
couple
Luke
hundred or
talk about
something.
them, when Luke and Obi-Wan talk about the Clone Wars in Episode 4, like, it's just literally that's what it is. Not he's not like, oh, you were a Jedi. He's like, oh, you fought in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Like, that was the big thing. He was,
And
like,
it would make
and again,
it would make sense if they were a smaller
more
force
sense
that
if
no one
the-
would remember them. Like, if it was more like a samurai
It-
clan, give or take, like, not like a whole army.
at the end of the day, the Clone Wars also makes more sense if the clones are the ones who are actually attacking.
Yeah.
And like, it's the titles still bug me to this day, and the whole idea of the Clone Wars still bugs me, because it sounds like the clone army was used to attack and overthrow, or it was used to attack and they had to fight them off. But like,
Focus,
it's just
Ethan.
weird. It's
Focus.
overall, it's just no.
Focus
I
on the
wanna
good,
talk about the
Ethan.
prequels and how bad they are. Overall, Return of the Jedi still, even with the little complaints I have, Return of the Jedi is still just a baller
Yeah.
movie. I just love it.
It's still my favorite one.
and again,
like,
like-
if I had a choice to, like, sit down and watch any of them, I would just watch 6. Or if you were like, if all these movies were now destroyed, you get to keep one, I'd be like, I'm keeping 6 because I know what happened in 4 and 5. I'm good to go. Don't care.
See, and as much as I love 6, and as much as 6 is my favorite, I would keep 4, because it is Star Wars.
I would keep 6.
But 4 has the arc. You don't need the beginning. You don't need any movies to tell you what's happening before or after. 4 is just a tight, its own story. That's it. To put up the scenario of if we were to
Oh,
destroy
I'm
all
not
Star
talking
Wars
about
movies
like
except for one.
existence. I just mean you never can watch them again. Like, they're all getting destroyed. Not that they never existed.
Oh no, that's what I mean. Like, because if I want to show people who have never seen Star Wars before, I don't want to show them a random one. I want to show them Episode 4.
Yeah, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, I've seen 4 and 5. Sucks to be the rest, y'all. I'm gonna watch 6 all day. And it's nothing you couldn't explain either.
I mean, I guess, but it's just so much easier.
But then 4 goes nowhere, and you never have any conclusion because Vader's still alive.
4 totally has.
Yes,
a
it has a
They defeated the
conclusion.
Death Star, and then
No,
they have a
it,
little
it
slip,
does
and
have
a
a
little
very
celebration.
solid conclusion because obviously they didn't know if they were making another one. But like, I just mean with Vader, like he did not die, like he kept going. But like the Death Star, like that scenario dealt with itself. But they still left those loose threads, like any good film does. That's thinking about a sequel, but nothing's guaranteed. You have a
Vader gets lost
solid
in space.
conclusion to the story you're telling. You leave a thread or two, for potential to go
Overall,
forward.
again, like, but man, that's the original trilogy. We've watched some bad, we've watched some good, and now we're gonna watch some both.
Mostly bad. Man, I can't believe we already made to 6, man.
Yeah,
I
it's-
can't believe we talking. We talked about this last week, but like 1 year, man. 1 year. Feast of films. And
Congratulations.
we just finished episode 6 now, so we go on from here.
So what's
the
your
next 5 weeks? Episode 7, man. I guess it's like technically 10 weeks now.
exactly? Yes.
All right, so yeah, with episode 6 now done and wrapped. That's a wrap on the original trilogy. Let's move on to question of the day, which is from me. And I have a little bit of a different question. It's a travel question. If you could visit any planet in the Star Wars galaxy, which one would you visit? A little bit of
Like
travel.
specifically the planet in the galaxy. Like, we're not talking about like the location where the movie was shot. This is the actual
No.
galaxy.
This is the planet in the Star Wars galaxy. Because literally we
I mean,
can't
like-
visit anywhere because of COVID. We're all stuck at home. So I'm like, where would I visit if I could get to the Star Wars galaxy? Also, I was thinking today, I wonder if people who get abducted by aliens get to live out cool Guardians of the Galaxy type experiences, adventures. I mean, probably not,
I
but
don't think so.
I wonder. Because
So like,
anyway, back to the planets.
so I have a few different answers here because honestly, I would avoid anywhere that has like harsh climates or monsters that would kill me. So that immediately takes out like Tatooine,
Mustafar.
Geonosis, Mustafar, Hoth, Endor.
Yeah, those
Yavin 4,
little
'cause
guys
it's
would get
just,
you.
Like, honestly, it would either be like, again, you have Alderaan, you have Naboo, and you have Coruscant, and I'm kicking myself for not remembering it. The planet in Episode 7 where Maz's bar is.
You know what? It was just in my head, and when you asked me about it, because I was like, I have the answer for you. Oh, Takodana.
Takodana. Honestly, you're gonna hate me
Takodana.
for this. You're gonna absolutely hate me for my choice. But like, honestly, I would probably go to Canto Bite.
God, I hate you.
It's
You're a terrible human
But
being.
no, like,
you
but
would want to
think
race
about it,
horse
like-
things.
no, but there's a casino. There's probably theme parks around there. Like, think about it. It's like a
Yeah, it's
resort.
super loaded planet.
But Naboo would be my close second. Because like Alderaan, we didn't see much. It kind of looks like the Alps and stuff like that. But like Naboo is nice beaches, green, some nice swampland. Like, again, like Naboo also seems like a good place to
Some
go.
nice swampland. I've never heard of anyone be like, yeah, there's some very nice swampland over there. They got some,
You can go
they got some good swamping going on.
go explore. Exactly. But it's a very green land. I think like that would be a good place to go. Because Coruscant would be fun, and there obviously be a lot to do on Coruscant.
Yeah.
But like again, there's no like.
We could go visit the Jedi Temple. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, see all the dead people.
Or yeah, you'd have to go before Anakin got there. Like I went there and it was just a bunch of dead
But I
people.
think-
So
I think that's
That was
also the
not
other thing is like what time frame are we going
What
to visit these
era?
planets? Because that's gonna really drastically change the visit.
a couple of those locations, yeah.
Like if we're talking like height of the Republic, then like sure, like I'll go see Coruscant because that's like a whole
Yeah,
like the amount of shopping you could just do.
crazy.
Like
Probably
I
spend so
guarantee
much
you there are
money.
man-made beaches and stuff like that. Like there's got to be like I don't
Honestly,
even like
man,
the beach that much, but like
I gotta like. I just wish there was like I want there to be like a Star Wars open world game like GTA, but on Coruscant, where you can like jack like freaking speeders and just fly through like the whole city. Like just that'd be so cool.
So is
Maybe have a
Coruscant your
jetpack
pick
or
too,
something.
or
No, I mean I like Coruscant. Probably not visit though. I'd probably get jumped or something like. And like the nice stuff, which is really high up, would be like the rich stuff. Probably be super expensive. But anything in the lower levels, you'd probably just get jacked and like beat up and stabbed. So
how about I could visit Dexter Jester?
you could.
Go to his 50s diner that's
Which would
based
be
in
pretty
the
cool.
space
Space
world.
50s. Yeah, that's such a weird
Yes.
concept.
I
That's
love it
weird.
so
Now I think
much.
about that. That's kind of strange. Um, Two
Like, I'm trying to
places that
think of
I'd
it.
probably want to go for like very different reasons. I think the first one would be Cloud City because I think that's such a cool.
Oh, I didn't even
location.
remember Cloud City.
Like
Yeah.
to go up there and like be in the clouds and stuff and like the sunset and the orange. I'm like, ooh, that would be cool
Yeah.
as hell.
No, that'd be really nice, actually.
The next place I'd want to go, which is kind of like a weird answer, I would like to go check out Crate because it seems like such an interesting planet. Like it's got like the
Oh, like the
salt
salt
on
planet,
it,
yeah.
but it's also got like the red underneath and like all those red crystals and crap like that. I would love just to go exploring that place. That'd be awesome. That'd be a fun little adventure trek. Like Cloud City
Oh,
for like a
Kashyyyk.
nice visit, and then Crate for like a little adventure trek.
Kashyyyk would also be kind of
Yeah,
cool.
all the Wookiees and stuff. Lots of shit that would eat you though. So
I know, but you'd be with the Wookiees, so you'd be kind
they
of
might
safe.
eat you too. We don't know. Just depends if you're nice or not.
And then like for like when you think about it, for like for an advanced society of people, there's not really a lot. There's still a lot of like nature that will kill you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because even Corellia would be interesting to see, but I feel like Corellia is going to be very similar to Coruscant and Alderaan and stuff. Like, yeah, I think Naboo is like my number one choice. Like,
It seems like the most peaceful. Like if you don't want to get like
it does.
robbed and stuff. Like and it's got like really nice rolling green hills and a variety of ecosystems.
I like that neither of us touched Camino. Like, I would not Camino, Mandalore, that kind of stuff. I'm like, no,
I'm good.
No, I'm good.
Like, listen, Camino's cool because it's got all the water and stuff, but it's like constantly storming, which seems
I can't
terrible.
swim, Matt. So like,
No,
no, I shouldn't.
So you're totally
Like,
out.
it's a terrible
Dude, even
place.
if you could swim, you'd get wrecked by those waves. It doesn't matter who you are.
And like, and Hoth, we live in
We don't
Canada.
need
We don't
Hoth.
need to
I
go to
already
Hoth.
live
We
in
live
Hoth. Like half the year, I already exist in
Exactly.
Hoth. I don't need that.
The other half we're on Tatooine.
That's what it feels like sometimes. Fall is like Naboo, though. Fall and spring. When it's like that perfect temperature. Yeah. Minus the beauty. It's mainly
Oh,
just
man,
flat.
why don't we all wanna
fields,
go-
So.
Why don't we want to go
Antween.
back to
That's
Jakku?
what Antween is where we live. In the summer.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Why does everyone want to go back to Jakku?
Jakku. It's like Tatooine, but slightly different colored sand.
And then I'm trying to even think about any locations in. There's not really a lot of locations in either Last Jedi or Rise that would be worth visiting.
Well,
Like,
we
Canto
both
Bight would
picked
be interesting
places
'cause it's a
from
resort,
The Last
but-
Jedi, which is kind of funny.
Well, because Canto Bight would just be a resort place.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically all my thoughts are. And if I went, I wouldn't have the knowledge of, like, the crime that goes on
That's
there.
true. That jungle planet they're on at 9 seems pretty nice, but like I definitely wouldn't visit Exegol.
But I feel like there'd be a
shit show of a place. Super
Like,
depressing.
wow, why did I come here?
Like, why am
Go
I
back to Endor.
here? Like, this is depressing.
This does not look like the brochure at all.
No doubt.
I feel like Star Wars is just not a place that's meant for visiting unless you're going to Disneyland. That's basically it.
I think there's a couple locations that'd be fun to visit, but like most of it's like I would probably die.
Well, I mean, Tatooine, we wouldn't last at all,
No.
like in the slightest. You'd just be dead. Although seeing a pod race would be kind of cool.
Being in a pod race would be cool. In fact, if I was gonna die in Star Wars, I'd be
No,
like,
I'd
just blow me up in a pod race. That'd be sick.
just be one of the random aliens that don't make it out of that alive.
Exactly. Except I'd be a person. I'd be like, guys, I got this, and instantly drive into a wall and die. Be like,
You
it
can
was
bring your wife and kids like that one
totally
alien did.
worth it. Totally worth it in front of your wife and kids.
That's what that one alien
Yeah, I
did.
know,
Like,
he just totally
that's a terrible
did it.
idea.
They're just like, oh, the last you see
there's
of
that-
your dad. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
man, those
there-
kids are gonna be scarred for life.
There was my two favorite. Still, I mentioned this in the episode one, but like two favorite sound effects in Star Wars are probably the two dying pod racers. The one that's like the and then the
Yeah, that one.
like what the heck?
And then died.
What's going on, George? What's wrong with you?
Oh man.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so
Cool,
I think those
man.
are our answers.
Cool.
So that's episode 6 and episode 30.
Another one bites the dust. And not a pod
me.
raiser.
I bit the
another
dust.
episode.
It was not great.
Yeah, no, so let us know what you guys think of episode 6, especially like the ending, the middle part. Do you like Endor? Do you like the Ewoks?
If you say no, then like I can't. You are worse than the people who like or dislike Jedi Rocks.
Jedi Rocks is terrible. Do you like
Jedi
what's
Ewoks.
your favorite? See, Jedi Ewok might not be bad. A little bit of wub dub in there. Yeah. I get that. I get down with that. What's your favorite part of the big battle at the end? Like what really speaks to you? What's do you love the throne room like we do? Or are you more privy to the space? Are you more privy to the Ewoks fighting down the forest floor with Han Solo and Princess Leia? Like it's just there's lots of really good stuff happening in this film. Let us know what you think. And if you could visit any planet in the Star Wars universe, where would you go and visit?
And why?
Let us know down in the comment section below. And that wraps up another episode. Episode 30 of A Feast of Films. Star Wars Episode 6. We move on. The next time we're talking about Star Wars
Now
in
to
a
the
handful
sequels.
of weeks to the sequel trilogy. And ooh,
We're excited for
should
Force
be
Awakens.
a
We're
good
both.
discussion. Either way,
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna be good. Ethan, where can the good people find you?
You can find me at Ethan R. Hill on Instagram. You can also find me at Ethan R. Hill on YouTube. You can also find mine and Prosser's film Damned Rights at realhouse.org. Go there, rent it, buy it. You can download it, give it a watch, give us some support. We would love it. Where can they find you, Matt?
Very nice, very nice. You can find me on YouTube at Storytellers for Life. Come on over by the channel. I say what's up, my fellow storytellers. And when I'm recording this, literally every time I say the wrong intro. Every time, and I gotta restart.
It's true.
It's been terrible. But come on, check
He
out the
does.
channel. It's fun. It's all about storytelling. We dig into different storytelling techniques. We dig into some, emotional and, getting that, mental preparedness to actually write and, try to help provide a little support and inspiration as well. So if you're into writing, if you're into learning about character arcs, if you're into learning about anything about writing, or you just need a little bit of support and a little bit of, you go get them, man. You got this. Just come on over, whatever that means. So come to the channel, Storytellers for Life, where we tell stories for life about
life?
stories. Yeah, I
Oh.
don't know. Anyway, no, that's pretty much it.
All right.
So, that wraps up another episode 30, and we will see you guys next week for another episode of A Feast of Films. I am Matthew Ayalew, and with me, as always, is,
Ethan R. Hill.
and we will see you guys later.
Have a good week, everyone.
So long.
Bye-bye.
A toodaloo.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.
At Smooth Jazz Radio.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.